I don't know where to start other than it's big. It's big, it's huge, and it's Swiss made. Zeno watch Basel, SOS watch, the Swiss watch with a quartz movement, an aviator design driven by one specific characteristic, and that's visibility. Now we have to get the elephant out of the room right away, because this one may not be for everyone. Thanks to Steven for the loaner. He tells me it's one of his favorite pieces. He wears this thing as much as he can. He complains that his eyesight is very poor, so he needs a large dial to look at without any issues. Wow, this thing's monstrous. And he says he can see it every time, no problem. I guess so. I've had some time to play with this thing, so let's look at the Flieger design from a company that's been around for a long time, like over 100 years, and I'd never heard of them. It's always great to learn about a new watch company. But Steven's right about one thing. Whether it's dark or light, you can see this thing no matter what. I'll put the reference down below for you, 6221-703-A2. Now, Zeno watch has been around for, like I said, over 100 years, coming from La Chance de Fonds. How do you pronounce that? La Chance de Fonds, Switzerland. They were one of the leaders, apparently, in oversized watchmaking, and this release came back and was introduced in 1949 at the Basel Watch Fair. It's awesome to learn the history here about the brands that you haven't heard of before. I literally hadn't heard about it until Steven said, I have a watch for you to review. He made an unbelievable purchase here. Stick around for the price tag on this baby. Wow, did he get lucky? Score. But does it work for everyone? Let's look at the specs here. I'll drop them below here. We'll get a bird's eye view. Because, these measurements will end up being very important to you for you to make a decision about this one. They are currently trending online. I mean, eBay, Chrono24, some of the other reputable sites out there, between $300 to $600 US, I believe it is. Steven got a bargain on this one from a nice gentleman here in Ontario, Canada. He just wasn't wearing it anymore. Sometimes there's deals out there that are just too good to pass up. It comes on this beauty leather strap, that has the thickness and durability in its design to definitely hold on to this baby on the wrist. Looks real cool with the accent white stitching, has that aviation theme going on. It's thicker at the lug, provides the support you need to wrap around that wrist, and then it tapers down a little bit as we get to the steel pin and buckle closure. Now with the specs, two important things come to mind that could be deal breakers here. That's the overall case size and the overall weight. And it's big. Like Taylor Swift says, are you ready for it? You better be, because this watch is a beast. The case size, 55 millimeters. The lug width, 24 millimeters. Like some of your Panerai watches you may be familiar with. Now the lug to lug here, oh boy, there's some serious geography being occupied on the wrist here at 62.5 millimeters across the wrist. Jeez. Now, the thickness itself is only at 15 millimeters. So, comparable to that of some of your G-Shock designs out there. And the weight, I actually was a little bit surprised by the weight at only 133 grams for the whole kit, but that's probably because this genuine leather is holding it together. And can you imagine if this thing had steel on it? Oh, you'd be well over 200 grams on the wrist if this thing had a steel bracelet. It's already large enough. No fancy bezel up top. The dial also feels large as it's pretty much edge to edge for the case design, so that's why that visibility piece is covered no problem. A screw down case back behind this full brush steel package and a mineral crystal protecting the front. With all this dial in the size, I was surprised it wasn't sapphire. That would have been nice, but you have to understand that price point would have been a little bit higher. Nevertheless, a very good looking tool watch. It's an aviator design with vintage vibes here, thanks to the hands that we see as well inside this dial. Short lugs are good, thank goodness. Can you imagine if it was any larger? Because this case is big enough. But with the design, this is a reminder of all of those in aviation, specifically those pilots in the Air Force from many, many years ago during all of the different wars that took place. Who needed strong timing instruments. Thank you very much for your service, by the way, and allowing us to enjoy the freedoms we enjoy today. But they not only had them on the wrist, but they wore them over their jackets, so they had to be large enough that they would be able to be handled while these aviators are utilizing gloves depending on what climates they're in, obviously. You can see the size of this crown. I'll show you some close-ups here. Unbelievable size of this crown. Probably the largest crown I've ever handled in the flesh. It makes the IWC Big Pilot crown look a little bit small. The crown itself measures 8.9 millimeters, actually. I better give you both measurements. It's the diameter and the distance that we could be concerned about. Diameter 8.9 millimeters. Distance from the case outwards is 7 millimeters. But it does have a cool Swiss sign cross etched into the face of it. Now the dial, a white dial backdrop, supports the great visibility here with the black accent, the text and the hands, allowing for great contrast. And the lume for the watch is good, as you would expect. It's definitely needed, right? Because visibility is the priority. Dark? So what? Here's the visual. This watch is something else, but it isn't going to work for everyone. My wrists are 7¼ inches, and for me personally, I can't do it. It's been fun to handle and put on the wrist and experience it, but I couldn't wear this thing on the day-to-day. If they made one a little bit closer to like 45, maybe we could stretch that out. But until then, nuh-uh. This one I can't do. Not at 55. But like Amy says, there's a lid for every pot. Now we have an outer chapter ring, black minute markers with loomed hour markers and numbers. A date window with a large clear black on white display sits below the 12. For me personally, I would have liked to see the date maybe down at the mid-6 where the water resistance is. Just feels like there's a lot of information bunched up in that 12 o'clock position. Comment below, let me know what you think about it. The Zeno watch Basel signed at the 12 below the date with the aviation wings below that as well. And then we have the water resistance 50 meters at the mid-6. Swiss made, splitting the 6s down below at the very bottom. Now these vintage hour and minute hands are lume filled. In fact, all the lume filled areas have that green color tone to them. And a large black seconds hand that looks good over the contrasting white dial. Everything speaks to it being able to be seen and tell the time in a split second no matter what the conditions. Now the Zeno watch Basel is powered by a quartz movement, the Swiss Ronda caliber I believe it is. Hacking and quick date set capabilities. Pull that crown out to the first position, you turn counterclockwise for the date set all the way out to the second position. You'll have the ability to set the hands for whatever the current time is, turning clockwise to move forward, and turning counterclockwise to turn back. Now the cost, there's a pretty good affordable range for those of you who are interested. Unfortunately, you likely can't walk into your authorized dealer and pick this one up, so you may have to be searching online for that. It's trending for about, like I said, $300 to $600 Canadian, depending on the resources that you're going to. eBay Chrono 24, for example, you may want to start there. And they also have the white variant as well as the black variant. Now the strap is a genuine leather strap with aviation inspired accents. White stitching fits the look that you're looking for, and it has the toughness and the durability to withstand the size of this watch on your wrist. Question is that will it be able to cover 8.5 to 9-inch wrists, because I think it's a little short. However, it does have a nice tapered look to it, going from 24 millimeters down to 20 millimeters at the closure. Zeno watch Basel is 55 millimeters. It's huge. Does your wrist have what it takes to wear this one on it? I'm not shy. For me, doesn't matter. I can't do it. I just can't do it. But Steven can. Thanks for another banger there, Steven. I enjoyed my time with this one, and I learned so much along the way. A truly unique design and company. Thanks for watching. I'm Ross. Do all the fancy things. We'll see you on the next one.